All right. So today we're going to be taking a deep dive into a place that I think really captures the imagination.
Boy.
The Vatican Secret Archives.
Absolute.
Just the name itself, it kind of conjures up images of, shadowy figures and, lost secrets and things like that. And when you think about the sheer scale of it,
Yeah.
53 miles of shelves, 1,200 years of history.
It's mind-boggling, isn't it?
It's hard to even fathom,
Absolutely.
what could possibly be in there. So today we're going to sort of try to unlock some of those secrets, or at least explore what we know about these archives and maybe delve into some of those wilder theories as well.
I love it. Let's do it.
So, when we think about the Vatican Secret Archives, it's easy to imagine, I think, sort of like a pristine vault, perfectly organized from,
Okay.
climate controlled, but the reality, I think, is a little bit different.
It is. It's much more of an organic, kind of creation, really.
Hmm.
Over the centuries, popes have just accumulated all
Right.
these documents. I mean, letters, treaties, all sorts of things. And so it wasn't initially, a conscious decision to preserve history.
Right.
It was just, they were doing their day-to-day business.
Right. So it's like our inbox today, but instead of spam,
Yeah.
we have medieval treaties.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great analogy.
So when did things shift? When did it go from this kind of ad hoc accumulation to, okay, we need to start preserving these things?
Well, so you fast forward to 1612, and Pope Paul V decides that it's time to actually formally establish the Vatican Secret Archives.
Okay.
So this shift, I think, is really telling,
Mm-hmm.
because it means that, they realized that these documents, they were more than just internal records. They had, real historical value,
Right.
and that, they could really help us to understand, the world as it was.
It makes sense that they'd be housed beneath the Vatican Library. It's like a fortress within a fortress.
Yeah.
And the security that surrounds these archives really adds to this whole mystique.
Yeah.
But let's talk about some of the things that we know are in there, some of those treasures.
Okay.
The source material mentions Henry VIII's plea for annulment from Catherine of Aragon.
Yes.
Now, that's a pretty pivotal moment in history, wouldn't you say?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh.
I mean, it's more than just a desperate plea from a king. This is,
Right.
a window into the incredible power that the church wielded at the time.
Right.
Right. Because by refusing Henry's request, they didn't just, upset a king. They actually
Yeah.
triggered the English Reformation,
Yeah.
a monumental shift in the religious landscape
Right.
of Europe.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's just one document, but it speaks to this incredibly complex interplay
Right.
of religion and politics.
Yeah. And speaking of, religion and maybe the clash with other forces, the archives also contain documents from Galileo's trial.
Oh, yes.
That's a big one.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And to really grasp the impact of this, we have to consider what people believed at the time, both scientifically and religiously. So back then, the idea that the Earth revolved around the sun,
Right.
that was a radical idea,
Right.
directly challenged what the church was teaching.
Of course.
And so these documents, they reveal, that tension between new scientific knowledge
Right.
and established religious doctrine.
Yeah.
And it's a tension that's still relevant
Yeah.
in different forms today.
Yeah. It's incredible to think that, these documents offer such a direct connection
Yeah,
to these pivotal moments in history.
absolutely.
The source material also mentions a letter from Mary, Queen of Scots, written during her imprisonment.
Yes.
It's like when you read about that, it kind of makes you put yourself in her shoes and imagine, wow, what must that have been like to be so isolated
Yeah.
and yet still holding out hope that, the Pope might intervene on her behalf.
It's a very humanizing aspect, isn't it?
Yeah.
We often see these figures as, just political players. But here's this woman, and she's writing this plea to Pope Sixtus V,
Right.
full of desperation, full of hope.
Yeah.
It reminds us that history is made up of individual stories,
Mm.
Real people
Right.
dealing with really intense situations.
Yeah. It's not just names in a textbook.
Exactly.
These were real people. It's fascinating to think about, the stories behind each of these documents.
Yeah.
But for everyone we know about, there are countless others that are still locked away.
Mm-hmm.
So what's the Vatican's reasoning? Why so much secrecy?
Well, officially, they often talk about, the delicate nature of the documents.
Okay.
The need for controlled research environments
Right.
to preserve them.
Sure.
But it's that very control, right, that kind of fuels speculation.
Yeah.
And it raises questions about who gets to decide what we know about history.
Yeah.
Does the Vatican have the right to hold back information
Right.
that could potentially change our whole understanding of the past?
Right.
It's a really tricky question.
And it's a question that I think is only going to intensify as we go deeper into some of the more outlandish theories about what's hidden in those archives. We've all heard the rumors, right?
Oh.
Lost gospels,
Right.
reports of alien contact.
Mm-hmm.
It's easy to get swept up in the mystery of it all.
It is. It is. And, while some theories are obviously more plausible than others,
Right.
you have to admit just the sheer size of the collection makes it likely that there are things in there that we just don't know about yet.
Right.
Right. I mean, could there be, writings that offer a completely different perspective on early Christianity?
Right.
It's possible.
Mm.
But alien artifacts, I think maybe, let's stick with the more realistic possibilities for now.
That's fair. I have to admit, though, the possibility of stumbling on something truly groundbreaking, I mean, that's part of the allure.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
It's that thrill of the unknown, right?
Yeah.
What if we could find something that totally changes our understanding of the past?
Yeah.
But even if we don't find, proof of aliens or lost cities,
Right.
the archives are still this incredible resource.
Right.
We can learn so much about, daily life, societal norms,
Right.
the way that power worked in different eras.
Yeah.
There's so much to discover.
We came across the perspective of a historian who's actually worked in these archives.
Yeah.
And they made an interesting point.
Yeah.
They said that the archives are more about preservation than hiding,
Right.
but acknowledging that, sensitive information likely exists.
Yeah. It's an important distinction.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact that they focus on preservation, that really highlights their role as guardians of history.
Right.
And, even seemingly mundane records,
Mm-hmm.
right? They can be incredibly insightful. I mean, imagine
Right.
finding a letter from a 15th century merchant talking about their trade routes,
Right.
or a diary entry from a Renaissance artist complaining
Yeah.
about their patron.
Oh.
I mean, those little details, those personal accounts,
Yeah.
they can be just as revealing as any grand historical narrative.
Like that story about the historian who held the letter written by Michelangelo himself, complaining about the construction of St. Peter's Basilica.
Yes.
It's amazing to think about the emotional power of connecting with history on such a personal level.
It's a very powerful thing, isn't it?
Yeah. So should the Vatican open the archives entirely? Full transparency for all.
Well, it's tempting, isn't it? I mean, imagine the floodgates of knowledge.
Right.
But it's not that simple.
Right.
I mean, full disclosure could have, unintended consequences.
Mhm.
Some revelations might reignite old conflicts,
Right.
or, even potentially undermine faith for some. It's a delicate balancing act
Sure.
between transparency
Yeah.
and the church's right to protect its own history.
Yeah. There's also the argument that maybe full disclosure isn't realistic. But even carefully curated releases could still advance our understanding quite a bit.
Oh, absolutely. Even a glimpse into those, hidden corners of the archives.
Right.
It could spark new research, challenge what we think we know,
Right.
and just, give us a deeper appreciation for how complex history really is.
Yeah. And as technology advances, we have even more tools at our disposal, right?
That's right.
I mean, digital archiving and AI analysis, that could potentially unlock vast portions of the archives without even having to physically handle these fragile documents.
That's true. It's very exciting, isn't it?
Yeah.
I mean, imagine algorithms that could help us find connections and patterns that we might miss.
Right.
Uncovering hidden narratives, giving a voice to those who have been silenced by time.
Right.
We could be on the cusp of a whole new era of historical discovery.
Yeah. It's incredible to think about the potential for new discoveries. But even if those, grand revelations never come, I think the Vatican Secret Archives will always hold a certain mystique.
Oh, absolutely. They represent this tangible link to our collective past.
Mm.
And they remind us that there are always more stories to uncover, more secrets to reveal, more mysteries to explore.
It's a never-ending journey, isn't it?
It really is.
It's that allure, that sense of mystery, I think, that keeps drawing us back to the Vatican Secret Archives.
Yeah. And speaking of mysteries, let's dive into some of the more sensational theories, I guess you could say, that have swirled around these archives.
Right.
One of the most persistent ones is this idea that the archives contain, quote unquote, lost gospels.
Right.
Texts that could, you potentially challenge the church's official narrative about early Christianity. It's a captivating idea, isn't it?
Oh, it is. It really captures the imagination. And this notion that there could be, alternative accounts of Jesus's life and teachings.
Yeah.
Perhaps even gospels that were intentionally left out of the official canon.
I mean, this has fascinated people for centuries.
I think what I find intriguing is the idea that maybe there are different interpretations of Jesus's message out there.
Right.
Maybe some that were considered too radical or controversial at the time.
Oh, absolutely. And, we have to remember that the early church was a very diverse and dynamic place.
Right.
There were lots of different schools of thought, lots of different theological interpretations.
Right.
So it's entirely possible that some writings that didn't fit with the emerging orthodoxy were either lost or deliberately suppressed.
So even if we don't find like a lost gospel that totally rewrites our understanding of Christianity,
Right.
you're saying there could still be texts that offer really valuable insights into the diversity of early Christian thought.
Exactly. It wouldn't necessarily invalidate the existing canon, but it would add, nuance and complexity
Yeah.
to our understanding of how Christian thought developed over time.
Yeah, history is rarely, a simple, straightforward narrative.
That's right. It's much more like a tapestry with lots of different threads.
Right. Okay, so that's fascinating. But now let's talk about a theory that's even more out there. The idea that the archives could contain evidence of alien contact.
Okay.
Now, some people believe that the Vatican's been hiding proof of extraterrestrial encounters for centuries.
That's what now we're getting into, the realm of speculation where we need to be a little bit more careful.
Right.
It's crucial to approach these claims, with a critical eye. And while it's true that the Vatican has a long history of astronomical observation,
Right.
going from observing the stars to saying that they have proof of alien contact, that's a pretty big leap.
Sure. I get that. But what if, just hypothetically, those observations did lead to the discovery of something truly unexplainable?
Right.
Something that pointed toward the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence? What if they want to keep that under wraps?
Well, it's possible, that they might handle that kind of discovery with a great deal of discretion.
Right.
But we have to remember, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence.
Right.
And so far, there's no concrete verifiable evidence to suggest that they actually have this kind of proof.
Okay, fair enough. But even if we set aside the aliens for now,
Right.
there are still other, intriguing theories out there. Some people believe that the archives might hold, ancient artifacts, maybe of immense historical or religious significance.
Yeah, the Holy Grail, the Ark of the Covenant, the lost treasures from the Library of Alexandria.
Yeah.
These are the kind of objects that really spark the imagination.
It's like Indiana Jones meets National Treasure, right?
Exactly.
But seriously, though, if even one of those legendary artifacts were to be found in the Vatican Secret Archives, that would be a monumental discovery. It would send shockwaves through all these different fields.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, these objects aren't just, relics of the past.
Right.
They have this symbolic power. They represent these enduring mysteries.
Right.
And their rediscovery, would force us to rethink our understanding of history.
Right.
And maybe even challenge our fundamental beliefs.
So while it's important to, to be discerning and not get carried away with the wild theories.
Sure.
There's no denying that the Vatican Secret Archives have this amazing ability to spark our curiosity.
Oh, yeah.
And make us wonder, what secrets might still be hidden in there.
Absolutely. And it's not just about those, blockbuster discoveries, the kind that make headlines all over the world.
Right.
The archives also offer this really fascinating glimpse into the everyday lives of people from centuries past.
Right.
Those personal letters, the diaries, the firsthand accounts.
Yeah.
They can be just as revealing as any grand historical narrative.
It's like putting together a puzzle, right?
Mm.
Each document, no matter how small or seemingly insignificant, it contributes to a larger picture of the past.
I guess.
And through those details, we can connect with the human stories that shape history.
Absolutely. It's about, connecting with the individuals who came before us, understanding their motivations, their challenges, their triumphs.
Yeah.
It's about recognizing those common threads of human experience that transcend time and place.
Yeah, it's a reminder that history isn't just about dates and battles, and big pronouncements. It's about people
Yeah.
and the choices that they made
Right.
and how those choices shaped the world that we live in today.
And speaking of the choices that we make,
Yeah.
let's think about the ethics of withholding information,
Okay.
especially information that could potentially shed new light on our past.
Mm.
Does an institution like the Vatican, do they have the right to keep that information under wraps? Or does the public have a right to access that knowledge?
It's a tough question, isn't it?
It is. It's very complex.
Yeah, on the one hand, you have the argument that the Vatican is a sovereign entity with the right to protect its own history and its own heritage.
Right.
But then on the other hand, you have the argument that these archives, they hold information that belongs to all of humanity, that they represent this shared cultural legacy that should be accessible to everyone.
Right. It's a debate that probably won't be resolved anytime soon.
Right.
But the fact that we're even having this conversation,
Yeah.
I think it really speaks to the power of these archives.
Right.
They force us to grapple with these really fundamental questions about knowledge, about power, about the very ownership of history.
And as technology continues to evolve, we're developing new tools to access and analyze vast amounts of information. So what role might technology play in unlocking the secrets of the Vatican Secret Archives?
That's a really exciting prospect, isn't it?
It is.
I mean, imagine the possibilities of using, artificial intelligence to scan through millions of documents,
Right.
to identify patterns and connections that human researchers might miss.
Right.
We could uncover hidden narratives, forgotten voices, entirely new perspectives on historical events.
It's like opening up this whole new world of discovery.
Yeah.
One that blends, cutting edge technology with this timeless pursuit of historical knowledge.
Exactly.
And who knows, maybe those far-fetched theories about lost gospels and ancient artifacts,
Right.
maybe they'll turn out to be not so far-fetched after all.
It's certainly possible. But even if those sensational discoveries never materialized in
Right.
Vatican Secret Archives, they will always be a source of fascination and intrigue, for generations to come.
Yeah.
They're a tangible link to our collective past. A reminder that history is never truly settled.
Sure.
That there's always more to learn, more to question, more to discover.
And that's what makes this whole topic so endlessly captivating, right?
Well, yeah.
It's a reminder that the quest for knowledge is this ongoing journey full of twists and turns, and that the past is never truly closed. It continues to shape our present and inform our future.
Absolutely. The Vatican Secret Archives are really a testament to the enduring power of the past,
Yeah.
to captivate our imaginations and
Wow.
to challenge our understanding of the world.
Well said. It seems like we've only just scratched the surface of this vast and enigmatic subject.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What other insights might we gain from exploring the human side of these archives?
Well, that's a great question. Maybe we should delve into the personal stories of those who have worked within the Vatican Secret Archives.
Okay.
The historians, the archivists who have dedicated their lives to preserving and understanding these priceless documents.
It's really amazing to think about everything we've discussed, about the Vatican Secret Archives. I mean, we've talked about their long history, the power dynamics that they reveal, even some of those really out there theories about what they might contain.
Absolutely. And throughout it all, whether we're talking about, documented fact or just pure speculation,
Yeah.
I think it's really clear how much these archives just capture the imagination.
Right.
They remind us that the past, it's not this fixed thing.
Right.
There's always more to uncover, more to question.
Yeah. What strikes me is that even with all the advances we've made in technology, and the potential for greater access and things like that,
Right.
the Vatican Secret Archives still have this aura of mystery. It's like the more we learn, the more we realize how much we don't know.
It's true. It's like we're working on this giant, intricate puzzle, and we've just barely started to figure out the edges.
Right. Yeah.
And every new piece we find, every document that comes to light,
Yeah.
it's just raises more questions.
Yeah, the source material mentions a historian describing the feeling of actually holding a letter written by Michelangelo,
Yeah.
complaining about the construction of St. Peter's Basilica.
That's incredible.
It must have been amazing to
Yeah.
connect with such a towering figure
Hmm.
on such a, human relatable level.
It's really something. And that's what I find so compelling about archival research in general. It's
Yeah.
those moments of connection across time.
Right.
It reminds us that, these weren't just, names in a history book. These were real people.
Yeah.
They face challenges and frustrations and triumphs just like we do.
It makes you think about all the other personal stories,
Yeah.
that are tucked away in those archives.
Right.
Stories waiting to be brought to light, voices waiting to be heard.
I mean, imagine finding, a diary entry from a Renaissance artist describing their creative process.
Right.
Or a letter from a, medieval merchant talking about their travels.
Yeah.
Those kind of personal accounts, they give us a level of insight that, official records often just can't match.
It's like getting a glimpse into daily life for people from centuries ago, understanding their hopes and their fears, their joys, their sorrows.
Right. And in doing so, we gain this much richer and more nuanced understanding of the past. It's also about recognizing that history isn't always about these grand narratives, these sweeping pronouncements. It's also about the lives of ordinary people.
Right.
The choices that they made.
Yeah.
And how those choices, no matter how small, they contributed to this tapestry of human experience.
So as we wrap up our deep dive here, I have to ask you, what historical figure from any era would you be most fascinated to find represented in the Vatican Secret Archives?
Oh, it's a tough one.
Yeah.
There are so many possibilities, but I think for me, it would be less about a specific person and more about the type of document.
Okay.
I would be absolutely captivated by anything that reveals the inner workings of power.
Right.
The behind the scenes machinations that shaped, major events.
So maybe like a secret correspondence between rulers or a personal journal from a high-ranking advisor?
Exactly. Those are the kinds of documents that can really challenge the official narrative,
Right.
reveal hidden motives,
Right.
and just give us a glimpse into, the complexities of decision-making at the highest levels.
And those insights, they can help us understand not just the past, but also the present.
Absolutely.
We can see how those same dynamics of power and influence and ambition, they're still at play in our world today.
They are. History isn't just about what happened. It's about, why it happened and what we can learn from it.
Yeah.
And the Vatican Secret Archives with, this vast and still largely unexplored collection.
Right.
They offer us this incredible opportunity to really delve into those questions.
So it's like a treasure trove of knowledge and insight just waiting to be unlocked. And as technology continues to evolve,
Right.
who knows what new discoveries are out there?
It's an exciting thought, isn't it?
It is.
Imagine using AI to analyze those millions of documents,
Right.
finding patterns and connections that we might never see.
Yeah.
Uncovering hidden narratives, forgotten voices, entirely new perspectives on historical events.
We could be on the brink of a whole new era of historical discovery, one that's driven by technology, but still fueled by our fascination with the past.
Absolutely. And as we keep exploring, as we keep asking questions, as we keep searching for answers,
Yeah.
we might just find that the most remarkable discoveries
Right.
are still ahead of us.
The Vatican Secret Archives, they really are this incredible testament to the enduring power of the past, to captivate us and to challenge our understanding of the world.
You are. And they're a constant reminder that there's always more to learn, more to question, more to uncover.
So to our listener out there, we leave you with this. What mysteries would you most like to see unraveled in the Vatican Secret Archives? What questions about the past would you want to have answered? Keep that curiosity alive, keep exploring, and who knows, maybe someday you'll be the one making those groundbreaking discoveries. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive.